Hello, and thank you for watching. This is Jennifer Bowman with Piano, and welcome to day 10 of the 30-day overview of Chopin's Nocturne in C-sharp minor. Thank you for joining me on this piece. In today's lesson, we are going to do measures 19 and 20. So the first thing I want to address is the dynamics. The dynamic marking is PPP, triple P. Personally, I like to use the soft pedal for this section. So if you are on a grand piano, your keys will shift over like that, and that changes the position in which the hammer hits the strings, giving it a more muffled sound. So I'm just going to say that not everyone loves the soft pedal. I happen to love to put it on during this section. So I encourage you to try it. If it doesn't work for you, that's absolutely fine. The key point in this section is we're going to really stay close to the keys so we can have a more intimate feel in this pianissimo section. So now we're in a new key. We started the piece in C-sharp minor. When composers switch to a major key from a minor key, they will often switch to what's called the relative major. The relative major of C-sharp minor is E, but instead Chopin chooses to go to the key of A major, which is the 6th key. So it's a very beautiful transition. It's kind of like instead of going up a third, he goes down a third. You'll see a little bit more accidentals in this section besides the normal B sharp we've been used to seeing, because now we're functioning in the key of A for a little bit. So a couple of important points about the harmony. The first thing I want to bring out is that we have what's called a pedal tone, and that means that we have a note that's not necessarily in every chord for the first 4 measures of this new section. It does happen to be in the first chord, A major chord, but there's not an A in this next chord, which is an E7. So we're going to have the A major, E7, which is the 5 of A, 1, 5. So let's start with the left hand. I'm just going to show you 2 fingerings. So we have 2 measures of the same thing. You can either do 5, 2, 1, 2, or 5, 3, 1, 2. Second half, 5, 3, 1, 2. Or 5, 2, 1, 2. If you use the fingering with the finger 2, just move it quickly to the last position. Because we're at such a soft dynamic, I'm going to suggest that you don't have huge circles in the left hand, but think a lot more horizontally. Get your fingers on the keys as soon as you can so you can pass the energy through the little mini circle. So instead of this, it's going to be like this. So in the right hand, now we have this lovely little melody with lots of subtle rhythms. I discussed the 3 against 2 in my detailed video on rhythm for this piece, so I'm not going to discuss it here, except to say the first note of the triplet goes with the left hand, and then they take turns right, right together. So for the right hand, I'm going to give you the fingering that's worked really well for myself and my students, and that fingering is 1, 2, 3, thumb under, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2. Lift, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 4, 3, 2. In terms of the technique of the right hand, because most of the notes are shorter notes, 8th notes or shorter, I'm going to encourage you to play most of this on the very tips. And then for the quarter notes on beat 1 and 4, you can do more of a gentle roll up. So technique-wise, it's going to be roll up, then tips. Get your thumb under for the cross under right away. You might have a tiny down motion at the beginning of the triplet, just to emphasize it. It's 3, 4, 3, little roll up. Reset on your tips. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, tiny mini roll up, and larger roll up. So when we're shaping dynamics in these kinds of phrasings, I want you to get in the habit of listening for the decay of the longer notes so you can match that as you play the faster notes. So we don't want the second note to come in at that same loudness, because then it's kind of like a bump on beat 2. So we're gonna play this first one underneath, fit in the dynamics, come in softly. And then here's where we'll lead to. Now in the next measure, I have a little diminuendo. So what that indicates to me is that we're gonna start a notch higher so we can diminuendo. And then this one, I'm gonna choose to diminuendo for the whole measure. By the way, these are just my artistic choices, so please experiment and see what makes sense within the context of what Chopin gave us. And I realize that your edition might look a little bit different than mine, so use these sorts of skills to study the music that you have in front of you. So then the final thing I want to point out is how Chopin phrased this. I have a big phrase over measure 19, then no slur markings for the first part, but then a mini slur on the triplet. So I always like to try and consider that articulation. I know we're gonna have the pedal and everything, but what does that mean? So to me, that means the first part is all finger legato under the slur. So smooth, sneak in, smooth, smooth. And then maybe not as smooth here, maybe a little crisper. Then smooth. So also experiment with the articulation. So now let's put the hands together. I'll do it slowly first, and then we'll talk about pedal and pacing. I'll play it without the soft pedal first and then with the soft pedal, okay? Now here's what it sounds like with the soft pedal. I just think that sounds really pretty. But see what your soft pedal sounds like and experiment with that. Let's talk about pedal now. It's going to be a little different than what we've done. So we're going to pedal first, pedal, 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 pedal. Now let me do that a little more quickly, but with the soft pedal too. Pedal. Because this is very delicate and very subtle, we are going to be doing a little bit of rubato, but it's not going to be huge moments. So I would suggest just get it in your fingers and play around with what makes sense. I think the best way to create rubato in a line like this is to actually sing the melody. Ba da 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 da. Ba da 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 da. And I would try to match the breath to the rubato. And I'm going to use the soft pedal. So that's the end of today's lesson. Thank you very much for watching. Appreciate very much you sharing, subscribing, donating to my channel to bring this type of teaching to more people who might not have access to a piano teacher. Please leave any questions for me in the comments. I will do my best to answer them. And also, I always love to know where you're from. So please leave that for me in the comments, and I will look forward to seeing you for day 11.